All right, City College. If you're ready, let me hear you say yeah. Come on, City College. Y'all can do better than that. Let me hear you say yeah. All right, welcome to Spring 2026 Convocation with this year's theme, Do the Right Thing, Making College Free. Let's give it up. All right, let's kick off today's festivities with a slideshow by our very own Cyprian Iwaba.
Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains all by myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. Hey, I'ma keep on running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too.
But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
Thank you, Cyprian. Now give me a warm welcome to Dr. John Bathke, who will be sharing the City College's land acknowledgement.
How come mute him anyway? In Yan John Bathke says Yate John Bathke Yenishe Senjikin initially Bilagana Bashas Chain Totachini Jadashache Bilagana Dashan Nele. John Bathke, Assistant Professor of Native American and Indigenous Studies. I would like to share the City College's land acknowledgement statement. San Diego City College acknowledges that we gather on unceded Kumeyaay land. We value indigenous knowledge and cultural worldview. We commit to providing transformative educational experiences for all campus members and guests as we examine practices that perpetuate harm against Indigenous, Black, Brown, and other marginalized communities. We pledge to sustain a meaningful and respectful relationship with the Kumeyaay and other Indigenous communities as we honor this beautiful land together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. John Bathke. Now let's give it up for your president and my president, Dr. Ricky Shabazz.
Hello, 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 everyone. I feel odd saying Happy New Year, but Happy New Year, happy spring semester is what our ASG president suggested. Selena, good to see you all. There is a lot that goes into putting it on Convocation. And so I just want to publicly thank Michael and the team up in the booth. Let's give them a round of applause. Behind the scenes, behind me, two amazing classified professionals who always come up with something that we add to Convocation. This year, we've got some captions going on to the right. Let's give it up to Sean and Eric. Certainly Majda and the team. Caesar has officially turned himself into the hype man. Let's give it up for Caesar and the marketing team. Certainly my office, Melanie, Andy, the entire facilities team. Let's give them a round of applause. I see Ginger and the team back there. This takes a lot of effort to ensure that we're ready. And if you all could only see the comic relief of what happens behind the scenes, but we always figure it out. I love this college. I love it because I get to work with amazing classified professionals, supervisors, faculty, managers. And so you're going to hear a lot of updates from various people on campus. And we're going to begin with our Academic Senate President. Let's give a City College round of applause for Mona Alsaremi Espetu.
Welcome back. And good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for that. I hope everyone enjoyed their break and their holiday season and their new year. I want to start with just an acknowledgement that for a lot of our students and some of our employees, holiday season is actually about to start. How many of you are about to start a holiday season? Raise your hands, maybe. Lunar New Year, Ramadan. Okay, a few people. So I'm one of those people, and I know a lot of our students are getting ready for a February Lunar New Year celebration, for Ramadan, which will end after 30 days, in Eid, which is their biggest, one of our biggest holidays of the year. So I want us to be thinking about that this semester as we get into our semester and go full speed ahead into, like I said, what will be our students' holiday season. So what that means is we just should be thinking about giving them some grace. I see way too many students say, I can't take time off for my holiday because I have an exam. So I hope that none of our students will need to deal with that. I hope none of our employees will need to feel like that all of us will have the grace and space to celebrate whatever we celebrate when that time comes. I also think it's important just to acknowledge those students, particularly our students. So if we think about people on our campus who are celebrating Ramadan, often those students are immigrants or children of immigrants. Often those students are Black. Often those students are Somali, and those students are Muslim. And that is kind of like right in the crosshairs of some very awful people right now. So I want us to acknowledge what those students might be feeling at the start of this holiday season, at the start of what's supposed to be the most peaceful time of year, and just ask them how they're doing. Just ask them how their Ramadan is going. Acknowledge that they are being attacked, they're being called garbage, and they need us as a community to wrap our arms around them and let them know that they belong here and that we can support whatever they're going through. Okay, to Senate business, I just want to highlight that we passed a few really important resolutions. I want to give a shout out to people who worked on a resolution. If you worked on, actually, they might not be here. So I know a number of people worked on resolutions this semester that were both a part of Senate and not a part of Senate, including Professor Terry Hughes, who worked on a sustainability resolution that passed in our Senate. So please give her a round of applause. This is a really important resolution to our campus and our students, and we're starting to kick off a series of workshops and discussions around sustainability and thinking about how we can plan more sustainable events, starting with this Friday when we're holding a classified event on sustainability, and then faculty events will be coming later. Next, we passed a resolution opposing surveillance on campus. I know there were a lot of people who had mixed feelings about this, but once ICE raids started happening, most of those people realized that it is the right thing for our campus right now, that less surveillance is better, and that we do not want to live in a police state, and that we also don't feel comfortable having that surveillance data out there in the world. So congratulate yourselves as a Senate, as a campus, for passing that resolution, for doing the right thing for our students. And lastly, we passed a resolution to increase childcare access on campus for our students and, if possible, for our employees. How many of you have children? Yeah, a lot of us have children. A lot of our students have children. And many of our students don't have access to our childcare facilities right here on campus. And so we'll be working with our district across the district to figure out how we can get more of our students that access. Because if you have children, you might know that the number one thing that prevents you when you have young children from getting things done is lack of childcare, right? So we want to try to get that done for our students, to make that happen for our students, to figure out what the barriers are. So I'm really proud of our Senate for passing that, what ended up being a very difficult resolution. But we did some really good work in Senate to make that happen. So again, give yourselves a round of applause for that. So coming up, we have a couple really exciting things. Starting Monday, we'll be looking at the revised faculty hiring prioritization process that a work group of faculty worked all semester on. And I'm super proud of the work we did. We met many times, maybe more than we wanted to look at something that was already good and make it what we think a little bit better and a little bit more equitable. So that's happening on the 2nd, and there will be a vote on that. And then we're also looking at more student-led resolutions. I was just having a conversation with Selena, our ASG president, about some students that want to bring resolutions to our Senate. And the students are what we're here for, right? So for our students to be bringing resolutions to us, our students to be saying, this is what we need your support with, is really exciting. We've had unprecedented student participation this past semester, this past year. So that is exactly what we should be doing in Senate, not only opening the door for faculty feedback, but collaborating with students. So I'm super proud of our Senate for that. Next, I have a few shout outs. Last semester, we needed sudden support in our Senate. We had a few people that couldn't serve when we needed positions filled, and 2 people filled in. One is Dr. Megan Barrell, who filled in at the last minute as the secretary, interim secretary. And then Dr. Stephanie Padilla, who filled in as the interim part-time officer. So please give them a big round of applause for filling these roles that nobody wanted to fill at the last minute, and not just filling the roles, but also doing a really great job. There will be an election this semester for those positions. Next is Sean Bacon, the chair of chairs, who also filled in a role for this semester as interim chair of chairs. So I'm really grateful that he's filled that role and that we can start to work with him and the Academic Senate executive team. So please give him a round of applause. And lastly, I want to comment on a resolution that we passed actually last spring, I believe, which was a divestment resolution. You probably hear me and the students talk about divestment a lot. It is an Academic Senate issue. Divesting our campus funds and then also our state CalSTRS funds, our state pension funds, is part of the work at Academic Senate as per the resolution. So I want to remind us that CalSTRS is actually meeting today, the board. They make decisions about divestment. Let them know what you think. You should have a survey in your inbox titled, "We want to hear from you." And so if you look that up, you can find the survey and you can tell them what you think about that. And also look out for an email from me that gives you some information about what CalSTRS divestment means, how they're invested right now. And I can tell you one company right now that many of you might know that they're invested in is Palantir, a surveillance company that's both doing awful harm in Palestinian-Israeli territory and here in this country, right? So we don't want I don't want my pension funds invested, and I think a lot of faculty don't want their pensions invested in that way. There is absolutely something you can do, right? This is our choice. So please take initiative and help us make that resolution, turn that resolution into action. And then lastly, I just want to remind you that our Senate meets Monday the 2nd, and then every other Monday at 2:30. Every single person is welcome, students, faculty. If you'd like to get on the agenda, there's a form on our website. And I look forward to seeing you all this semester, Mondays, and starting this very Monday on the 2nd at 2:30. Thank you.
Hi. Um, uh, hey, everyone. Welcome back. We've got an awesome semester ahead of us. I am Sean Ryan, your classified Senate president, and we have an awesome classified Senate. We've grown this past fiscal year. We're stronger than ever. We have elections coming up at the end of this semester, and things are just looking awesome with our classified Senate. If you're interested in working with us, we still have room for additional senators. We have room for additional helpers. We can use everything. In a change of tone, the climate right now, the national climate is pretty dismal. But I think that this is a moment in history for us to stand up. And I think the values of this district and this campus leaders, our values and our commitment to social justice, we will prevail to better times. But in this place right now, we are asking our classified to stand up. We're going to be supporting our community, supporting our students, and supporting our colleagues. This spring, we're working on a series of programs for classified focusing on service. We're going to be providing opportunities and participating in outreach, community service projects, and growing our caring campus. With our caring campus, we're going to be having forums, conversations with our managers on campus, our student service areas on campus, and other constituent groups on what you would like to see us do with caring campus. Marco in the Professional Learning Center is helping us with these endeavors, and we're looking to closely align the work of Caring Campus into actualizing You Belong Here through the work that our classified employees do on campus. We are currently engaged in a pilot work program. We are currently engaged in a 36-hour work week. This was asked on by classified with our union to look at a non-traditional work week, moving away from the 40-hour work week in attempts to curate a work-life balance and just a lot of the more progressive work environments are moving towards a different work schedule. So we're currently in a 36-hour work model. This is a pilot program that we're running through March. And the classified Senate, we will be having open office hours for anyone in the community, students, faculty, administrators, and of course classified, to come in and share any thoughts that you have on our 36-hour work week. Our ambition is a 32-hour work week. So we're going to kind of report on and see what comes up with this work week. Our goals with this is to not impact our current services. Departments are working with their employees in different ways. One of the broader plans is that without impacting student service, a lot of programs are going to be operating on a shorter workday on Fridays. So if you have any comments, you have any feedback, we are looking for that. We're going to be compiling everything and sharing it with the district on our findings. March 11th, we will be having a forum in the cafeteria. And one of the main topics will be this 36-hour work week, as well as other issues that are coming up. Another thing with our 36-hour work week is that we understand that that impacts our classifieds ability to attend professional development. So I'm working with Marco in developing options for our professional development programs. We're looking at having remote workshops available, pre-recorded workshops that you can view at your leisure, and also booking programs in blocks. So you can choose to attend a morning session or an afternoon session. I'll be sending out updates in our calendar within the next couple weeks. I'll send that out as a DL to the campus. Everyone is invited. Our open classified Senate meetings are on fourth Thursdays from 2 to 3 in the Professional Learning Center in room R116. Again, I'll send out a memo to the campus to invite you all. Everyone is welcome to come to these meetings. We as the Classified Senate, we're here to represent the voices of our classified professionals. And the Classified Senate sits on the College Council as a constituent group. We report out from our classified folks on campus to College Council, and then we report back to our classified constituents on issues relating to the campus. With that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our SPA representative, Daniel Gonzalez. Thank you for your time. We're looking forward to a great spring semester.
Good morning, everybody. This is my favorite part of the year. My name is Daniel Gonzalez, and on behalf of SPA, I would like to welcome you to Spring Convocation. SPA stands for the Supervisory and Professional Administrators Association. Today, I just want to highlight some of the things that we do here on campus. Supervisors and professional administrators help turn the idea of making college free into something real for students. We often take things that are free for us for granted. But for many of our students, even the most basic things like safe, clean, quiet environments, free from distraction, are not guaranteed. That's why supervisors being present on campus matters. Supervisors show the commitment every day by being here, leading the teams that keep services running, spaces open, and help available when students need it. Access only matters if students can actually use it. And that only happens when the people are here, present to support them. Supervisors also lead teams in close partnership with classified professionals, managers, faculty, and students, recognizing that making college free is a shared effort built on collaboration. I'm just going to highlight a couple of things that supervisors do here. I'm not going to say their names because there's too many, and I'm not going to name everybody because I'll be here all day. Through basic needs, supervisors help ensure students have access to emergency support and essential resources so that they can focus on learning instead of survival. In the library, supervisors, I'm the supervisor there, support zero textbook costs, initiatives, technology loan programs, and a safe study spaces that give students reliable access to textbooks, technology, and a place to learn. Through the work of facility supervisors, campuses are kept clean, safe, and well-maintained, providing an environment where students can focus and feel supported. Child Development Supervisor helps provide free or low-cost healthcare, removing one of the biggest barriers to students' parents face. And college police sergeants and lieutenants play a crucial role in keeping our campus safe and free from crime so students can be here without the fear and focus on their education. These are just a few examples of the many ways supervisors support the mission of making college free every single day. Doing the right thing means more than declaring college free. It means a commitment to the people, the spaces, the systems that make learning possible. Supervisors do the work by being present, leading collaboratively, and ensuring students don't fall through the cracks. SPA is proud to stand with you in this work and remains committed to student success. Just a side note, we meet every third Wednesday. So if anybody wants to bring an issue to our meetings, usually they're virtual, please contact me. And that way we can share information and do more collaborative efforts.
This funding is essential as it allows clubs to support outreach efforts, host meetings, and organize special events. The program has been very well received as it reassures student organizations that they are seen, valued, and supported. We truly appreciate all the clubs and student leaders who make a positive impact on our campus every day. Additionally, we have many club rushes and community building events planned throughout the spring semester. Our ASG board is always looking for students who are interested in being a part of something truly impactful. We currently have several open board positions available. We would greatly appreciate your help in spreading the word. I'm excited to see all that ASG will accomplish to watch our upcoming programs, activities, and events come to life. At the heart of everything, all we do is stay true to our commitment to student engagement and ensuring that every student feels a true sense of belonging here at City. Please feel free to stop by and connect with us during our weekly ASG meetings held every Wednesday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. in room M201 at the Student Affairs office. We would love to see you there. If you have any questions about participating in our official agendas, additional details can be found on the STCC website under Life at City. Select Student Government to view our webpage. It's full of great information. That concludes my updates for today, but there is so much more to come from ASG. Stay tuned for exciting initiatives ahead. Here's to a productive and impactful semester. Thank you, everyone.
Come on, we could do better than that. Let's give a round of applause for all of our leaders. It's good to see you all. Certainly want to also acknowledge our amazing vice presidents, Marciano Perez, Tilly Chavez, and John Parker. Let's give them a round of applause as well. Selena is doing an amazing job as our ASG president. As we were here this morning, she asked me, she said, should I be wearing my Air Jordans for convocation? Commencement. Absolutely, you should wear your Air Jordans during commencement. We're going to give you an update about commencement shortly. Speaking of updates, kind of want to go over the goals and remind us what the goals are. And at the top of it is continuing to be a caring campus. You heard that carried out. Maybe you didn't hear it exactly, but certainly it was carried out throughout the constituency group leaders in terms of what we do here at San Diego City College. Regardless of the noise that is around us, we still have to lean in to support one another because these times are very trying. And we're going to get into that a little deeper. Enrollment management, this is what we do. We want to change the lives of our students, but we've got to have students in order to be able to do that. Stewardship, we're going to talk about some opportunities to support some students on campus, those who may be traveling to Ghana, those who are going to be in our first graduating class of cyber, and some other students on campus. And we're constantly planning. And the bulk of this presentation is going to be about what are our plans. Just some of the accomplishments. I don't know, is David Kinnemer here? I didn't know if David is here, but let's give David a round of applause. He's leading our efforts in the faculty and business and technology. Certainly Jesse and his team, everyone in that school is leading efforts to have the first graduating class with a bachelor's degree. We are going to give out the first group of bachelor degrees here at San Diego City College. More on that a little later. I saw Coach Mitch Charlins in the back celebrating 400 wins, and all of the coaches. Also want to give a shout out to our women's coach, Andrea. Got to see a women's game yesterday. I was very proud that there was a large contingent there supporting our Lady Knights as well. They're off to a great season. And our students in F-Jump are broadcasting the games live, and they are doing an amazing job. I don't know if Chris is here. I catch all the games that I can't go to in person. And the folks that are doing commentary this year, I ran into one of the students. They are doing a tremendous job. So if you can't make it to the game in person, you can not only support our athletes by watching on the YouTube page, you could also support our F-Jump students who are doing live broadcasts. We continue to look at ways to save our students money. Our Dora and the leadership over in the Veterans Center and everyone who works with our veterans did a MAP JST goal, and we're looking at ways to save our students money who are in the veterans program. One of our very own students, JJ. Anybody know JJ? JJ has done a tremendous job. An Emoja student. JJ is on path to probably win more scholarship than any other students here at San Diego City College. She has a number of awards. The Transfer Center is I don't know if Dr. Charlins is here, and the team in the Transfer Center. I got to meet with her in the Transfer Center yesterday, as a matter of fact. If you have not seen our new and improved, expanded Transfer Center, I just want to publicly thank our classified professionals and our Academic Senate president and Academic Senate, Classified Senate, because they moved their offices, because anyone who went into the Transfer and Career Center, Roger and the entire team in there, during application period, that place there wasn't enough room. And so we've been knocking down walls. I like to build things at San Diego City College, and this is yet another area. If you have not seen the Transfer Center, when you go in there, you will be impressed with how much more space they have. They have their own little meeting classroom presentation space in there right now, and we couldn't have done that without the support of the Academic Senate and the Classified Senate, because they had to move so we can knock down the wall so that we can make that space a little better. And so we're working on the office space. They got this neat carpet that's got somebody put some red in there. Thank you all for doing that. It's an amazing space. I didn't think, and I don't know if Dr. Parker's here, but I didn't think they were going to make it by the start of spring semester, but they did. John, kudos to you and the team for making that happen. Let's give them a round of applause as well. And efforts led by our Dean of Ideas, Claudia, as well as Jocelyn Hill and Nisha Savage. We are a Black serving institution. Thank you to everybody who made those efforts. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. For about the last 4 years, I've been working with the managers to try to connect with actively engaged employees. Now, we know all of us are actively engaged employees. You can't work at San Diego City College without loving our students. But each year, we sponsor a luncheon where a manager brings one person. And believe me, that's hard, because some of them bring 2 or 3, even though we ask them to bring one. And we try to have a lunch with these individuals so that the managers really could stand up and give these individuals their flowers. Very often, there are people who go above and beyond every day here at San Diego City College. And sometimes we don't get the opportunity to just say thank you. And so this is like the thank you lunch. And so we had a number of people there yesterday where we gave them a certificate called the Hope Dealer. I'm probably going to change the name because I kept hearing people say rock stars. So that might be the new name of this. And so we do this once a year. It's our 4th time doing it. And so I would ask, if you received a Hope Dealer award, could you stand up and just be acknowledged if you were one of the people who received an award? Right. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Erin Flanagan is over there in the corner. Erin, why don't you stand up? She and her team in the foundation were issued a challenge by me to help us continue to raise scholarship money for our students. We know that our students who come to San Diego City College, as many as 90% of them are on some kind of federal financial aid, which means, like I did when I was in college, we need resources. And so I want to issue a challenge that you join me. I also saw some of our members of our foundation board. I would ask you to join myself and Gerald as we try to raise money to make the regalia, and now I understand it's and other things, free as a gift to our first graduating class of a bachelor's degree. It's approximately $132 per student. We've got around 40, give or take, students who will be graduating with their bachelor's degree, and this is what their regalia will look like. They had a contest. They picked out their own regalia, and so I pointed over there, but I guess I should be pointing there. They will be joining cosmetology and nursing as having their own unique regalia. And if you would join me by either clicking on this QR code, or Aaron and the foundation will have a booth, or you can stop by there, or we'll send an email to the campus. Our most giving group of donors are the employees here at San Diego City College. And so if you are so inclined to help gift the first group of students graduating this spring with a bachelor's degree their regalia, join me and others in giving $132 for a student to be able to have a regalia. We'll be sending more information out about this. They will join the hundreds of other programs that have their own graduation each spring in celebrating this accomplishment, where we will be issuing them their regalia. Also want to thank the bookstore. Let's give them a round of applause for making this possible as well. We hope to take 5 students for the 3rd study abroad to Ghana, West Africa, where the district, all 4 colleges in the district, will be taking approximately 45 people to Ghana, West Africa to visit the University of Cape Coast and the University of Ghana. This trip is approximately $8,000. Many of these students will help them get their passports, their visas, and this will be many of their first time traveling abroad. This is open to any student on campus. They will join about 7 City College employees that will be going to Ghana as well. And so if I could encourage you to help us sponsor a student at about $8,000 to join us on this trip. And then lastly, we learned a lot last semester from this parking space. And so there is a raffle going on. You know, we have construction. Parking is going to continue to be a challenge for about the next 10 to 15 years. And so if you would like, serious. And I'm going to get to that slide in a minute. And so if you would like to guarantee that you have a parking spot, you can enter into this raffle by purchasing tickets. You will get your own parking spot. Now, we are working out the details because people wanted to specify where their parking spot is, and it's a little hard to do that when you're in the construction zone. So work with us on this, but you can see Erin and her team. All of the proceeds for the parking spot go to scholarships, and I think we raise approximately $300 or $400 in the fall, and that money goes $580. So a lot of people are interested in that parking spot. And those funds will go directly to scholarships to our students. And you'll get a parking spot in the mix of the construction. I'm going to ask Claudia Martinez to stand up, and I saw her somewhere up there. She is literally the newest member of the San Diego City College family as our new director of the Mesa program, not to be confused with Mesa College. And she starts on Monday. And she's so dedicated that she actually attended her first event, the MLK. I think I'm too close to that. The MLK parade about a week ago, and she's here at Convocation. Again, let's give her some City College love. She is joining people in a number of offices on campus. And then we are also continue to promote people or have them work in other capacities beyond what they were prior. We are hiring. These are the current recruitments that are underway, and you see the VP of Administrative Services there. We got a short timer. I'm going to come to that in a second. But these are the positions that we're recruiting for. They're on the website. I'll be going with a team from the district to the LA Westin on Saturday, where the annual community college job fair is going on. So if you know someone looking for a job, encourage them to attend. And we absolutely always get questions about, are we hiring faculty? We should know that the hiring of faculty is very different than any other position on campus. The faculty have their hiring prioritization list. We reviewed it. We're working with Mona and Nick, and I can guarantee that the first 4 positions that should start tomorrow, the hiring process, are electricity, chemistry, design, and information technology. There are two more there with an asterisk. Those we anticipate that every spring, 2 or 3 people will announce sometime between now and May that they're retiring. And so I want to put exercise science and cosmetology, Pamela, I think I saw her somewhere, in the queue. Patricia, excuse me. You should put these positions in the queue so that when we get an announcement that Ricky Shabazz is retiring, which I'm not, that exercise science would be the next one up, Dean Deddy. So let's get those two in the queue. I expect we're going to get through the 6, but the first 4 should start the recruitment process yesterday. So we'll be hiring some faculty. Now, every time I do this presentation, a classified professional or a manager will say, well, how do I hire a classified professional? Program review. The way that process works is to some degree similar to faculty, although there's not the list like the faculty produce. And so what happens is that each of the vice presidents get together with their managers, they go through program review, there's a vote, there's a ranking, and ultimately it comes to me. And from that ranking, we pretty much do a round robin. So who's up next? Administrative services, is it instruction, or is it student services? It's a little harder to do this with classified professionals than faculty because of the 50% law and a host of other things. But we'll be back to you at College Council with the list for non-faculty that we'll be hiring. But you can see from here, we're hiring across the campus. I mentioned that we're going to recruit for a vice president of administrative services because I'd like you to join me in congratulating Dr. John Parker, who last night was voted by the Board of Trustees of the North Orange Community College District as the next vice chancellor of finance of North Orange Community College District. Congratulations, John. If you can survive City College, you can go work anywhere. Yeah, I probably should have said survive Ricky Shabazz, but super happy for John. This is a promotion for him. He's going to be over a 3-college district, 2 credit colleges. The only other district that has a non-credit college like we do here in San Diego. So super happy for him. He's still on the hook for a scholarship that he continues to say that he's going to sponsor a San Diego City College student. John, and we got that in writing, John is going to be leaving us in about a month, give or take. You'll see an announcement for an acting VPA, and then the permanent position I hope will be posted by March. And so my office is working with the Academic Senate and the Classified Senate to get representatives to serve on those hiring committees. And so if you would like to serve on the hiring committee to help us select the next permanent vice president of administrative services, please reach out to your respective constituency groups. Enrollment management, I keep saying it, 91 is an A where I come from. I want to commend the chairs, the faculty, everyone who supports enrollment on campus. We're in the home stretch. Tilly tells me that this 91% is actually a little higher with the quote unquote magic buckets or buckets. I think we need to find a better name for that. But also want to thank Sean and those who are working on the SIM project that I understand are repurposing enrollment as it relates to those programs that have waiting lists. And so I'm confident that we're going to continue to go up as we start school next week, continue to make an appeal to the faculty that when and where you can take someone, a real someone, off of the waiting list, that you do so. We know that a lot of our students will wake up next week or the week after and say, I want to change my life by coming to San Diego City College. And so if you are so inclined to let that student in class, refer them to tutoring and counseling, we will do our best to make sure that those students succeed here at San Diego City College. We've got a little over 13,000 students. We expect another 400 or 500 probably to show up in the next 2 weeks. Counseling gets busy, very, very busy. Want to shout out to our counselors that continue to try to get these students through. But of course, we need classes for them to be able to register. And we continue to deal with these ghost students and these attacks on every community college. As we look at the head count, we pretty much have recovered from the pandemic. which will help us with things like the SIA budget that I'm going to talk about a little later. But it also focuses in on the need to make sure that college is affordable, if not free. Hence, all of the people wearing these red shirts. And we'll get into zero textbook costs and supply costs a little later in the presentation. But we continue to do a great job. Want to shout out the outreach team, Clarissa and Genevieve and Sarah Bell. Let's give them a round of applause for the great work that they do. If you're tracking the governor's budget, I would say it's a moderate budget, right? There's some things to be excited about. There's some things to be concerned about. We're looking at about a 2.41 COLA. Now, this is where we're going to start getting into some technical pieces, because a lot of people are coming to me saying, I need staff and I need resources. This is where you start to unpack like how this works. And I'm going to be a little frank here, is that when folks come saying they need things, I really gauge whether or not they know how these things work based on what I'm going to go over, highly technical but high level, in the next couple of slides. The way California community colleges receive our funding is from the governor's budget that is based on a set of expectations and or requests that come from the California Community College Chancellor's Office. And so we're expecting in the preliminary budget to receive about a 2.41% COLA. This is for 26-27, right? And so the governor's preliminary budget comes out in January. The legislature goes through this negotiation with the May revised based on tax revenues. And then ultimately the governor signs a budget, which is part of our state constitution, by the end of June. Now, this is crazy because if you think about it, we're not going to know what our actual budget is till about June 30th. And the first part of the both academic year and the fiscal year is July 1, right? And so we have to try to estimate what some of these costs are based on the governor's and funding and revenue are based on the governor's preliminary budget. Now, the piece that I really want you to remember really is the first fourth bullet here. And that is the governor is proposing to fund enrollment at 0.5%. Any math people in the audience, right? And so we determine significance based on 5%. This is 0.5%. And so for the math people here and the folks who are looking or requesting additional sections, this is how we offer them based on how much revenue we get from the state. Something that's positive, well, first, 0.5% is not positive. That's not a lot of growth so even if Clarissa and her team brought another 30,000 students, we wouldn't have enough sections funded by the states to be able to, or the state to be able to accommodate them. Something that is positive is we're expecting somewhere around $100 to $120 million in deferred maintenance. How does that translate to you all? I was having a conversation with Mona just last week, and there were questions around lactation pods and questions around water stations in various buildings. This $120 million, if it makes it into the final budget in June, will be allocated across the 116 community colleges. And I've already asked John Parker to start looking at getting quotes for these lactation centers or pods and these water stations, because I do believe we should be able to accomplish those two things with this increase in one-time funding and deferred maintenance. Next, you see $100 million in one-time funds. That is to help support both counseling, advising, transitional services for students affected by the immigration things that are going on in the country, and a host of other things. I'll get into that a little later. But generally speaking, the budget outlook is optimistic. How do we get our funding? Largely based on the student-centered funding formula. You see the information behind me. This is how we get our funding. The maximum amount that we can receive as a community college is approximately $8,500 per FTES. Now, those are CCAP and special admit students. And then it starts to involve a lot of math here. The gist of this that I want you to take away, because just yesterday I was talking to someone and said, yeah, well, I visited San Diego State and they have this, and I visited UC San Diego and they have that. And I said, well, let me tell you what the FTES for San Diego State is. It's about $20,000 per FTE. Let me tell you what it is for UC. It's about 24,000 per FTE. And so we've got a level set that we continue to be an open access institution who serves 100% of the students who walk through the doors, but we receive the least funding in the state. Right now, the funding per K through 12 per FTES is $27,000. What could we do? How many lives could we change if we were receiving $27,000? So when I talk about eventually getting to the transfer center, when you're only getting $8,500 per FTS, eventually we will get to you, but it makes it hard to get to everyone at the same time. Two major takeaways here from the budget that is going to affect every single person in this room. Strong workforce continues to be on the decline. We're looking at a loss of about $800,000 over the last 3 years. Raise your hand if your department or program receives strong workforce money. Right? Just about everyone across the campus. The immediate impact on this is going to be to institutional effectiveness. And so we've got to go find about 30% of funding for one of our researchers that comes out of this funding. And so I'm always on the hunt to try to find resources when you have declines like this. And as you saw in the prior slide, most of this money comes from the state, and there's no additional revenue coming in from the state here. The next area that has had a major challenge is our SIA budgets. Now, this has 4 different names, right? And so I struggle with which one I should call it. Most of us know it as either triple SP or equity that is now combined to call C. Sometimes people call it SEEP because they put programs in there. The gist of this is we've lost about $400,000 in revenue over the last 5 years. Raise your hand if your department or program receives SIA funds. Right, Marciano put his hands up. Right, most of our counselors, outreach are funding from here. I have a plan to address this. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because I want to meet with those departments that are affected first. And when I'm doing these presentations, somebody will come up to me and say, well, I didn't know. Look, folks, the first time you hear it is the first time you hear it. But we typically go to the departments that are impacted by this. So I'll give you a little purview because, it's probably out on campus anyways. I've met with the biology and the science departments. The chairs are having their meeting, I think, today to talk about some of these things. Certainly, I don't make any moves like this without talking to the academic senate leadership and those affected by this when I come up with a bright idea first. And then we'll roll it out to campus. We've got to find a way to find $400,000 worth of discretionary income that I hope will go to mental health counseling. I hope will go to the health center. I hope will go to supporting students going to Ghana because most of this $400,000 was going to discretionary to support programming. And so we reach a point with $8,500 per FTS that you say, do you want staffing or do you want discretionary spending? Because you very rarely get to have both. And right now, we need to find $400,000 worth of discretionary spending to help with tutoring. That tutoring is paid out of this funding as well. So I've got a plan that I'm working on that I'll announce in the coming days once the departments give me the green light that they're in support of having that dialogue. That is how shared and participatory governance works. Clarity versus certainty. How many of you all had a chance to read my communication that came out on Monday? Thank you for those. If you didn't, there's not a lot of hands going up right now. It is so important, folks, that you are checking your emails. And I know if you're like me, I get 300 to 400 a day, and I'm trying to navigate through which of those are important or not. When it comes to what is going on in our country regarding immigration enforcement, most of these communications are going to come out via email. And so if you didn't get a chance to read my communication on Monday, please go back and read it because there's some very important information in it. Now, I'm going to go over that important information here, so you'll get it twice. Now, I believe in the theory of 3, that people need to see things 3 times before they get it. This is real because people are reaching out to me seeking certainty. I am not certain what is going to happen. I'm not certain, none of us are certain what is going to happen. I, like many of you, may be hearing rumors that I'm not sure I want to feed into. Rumors that there may be very similar things that is going on in Minnesota and San Diego. If and or when that happens, I want to assure you a couple of things. We have amazing leadership in our district. We have amazing deans and directors and managers in our district, and we plan for the worst. I am confident in the group of leaders on this campus that when or if something happens, that we're prepared to respond. What I'm not confident about is what is everybody else going to do. And so it's so important that if you're not checking your emails, if you haven't updated your emergency contact information in PeopleSoft, you might miss a key communication. Secondly, you have my full support if you receive word, not a rumor, but confirmed communication that ICE is on campus for you to do what you think you need to do to keep yourself and your students safe. For some of you, that might mean locking your classroom. So to some of you, that might mean evacuating the building. It really is going to depend how this happens, if this happens, given the layout of our campus, and that you can just walk on to San Diego City College from any areas of the campus. The other thing is, for those of you who don't know, because we don't report every single thing that happens, particularly if we can't confirm it, we've had some events that have allowed us to practice this. There are individuals who are following ICE and going live on Facebook or Instagram. There was an incident before the end of the semester where that happened, and an ICE vehicle started down, I believe, by the Albertsons, if that's the name of the place, and drove up behind campus, behind Garfield High School, into San Diego High School, and immediately I started getting text messages. So there are people who have my personal cell phone number, right? There is a group of us out there that are preparing for this. And so then we have to send people to verify whether or not this is happening. And while it was happening, the person never actually came on to campus. But what I was proud about, and what I assure you, is that our team jumped into action, which included going to the Undocumented Resource Center. A group of us did, to check in on Magali, because we know how rumors spread across a campus. And so the key people who are things like building captains and deans and managers and coordinators and leaders on campus have contact numbers, how to respond if and when something like this happens. What can you do? Follow the processes that are in place, right? We have these cards, we have the QR code, we have the chancellor sending out communications that essentially say that if you come into contact with someone who is an immigration official, that you essentially refer them to the district. We will not interact with and or respond to ICE being on campus. They are not welcome here. They're not. And if you have not downloaded the SDCCD app, I would ask you to do so. This is one of the ways that you communicate with us and that we communicate with you if something happens. Now, let me be clear. There is another system that I'm not going to go into detail, but it's called Rave. That is the software that sends you a text message if the campus is on fire or if there's an emergency, but it only does so if you update your emergency contact information in PeopleSoft. Now, we found out something in the fall when we tested this out. We found out that a lot of people had their spouse or partner information in there as emergency contact. Now, that's okay if you're okay with them getting the text message or call if ICE is on campus or the campus is on fire or there's an active shooter, right? And so my suggestion is this number be yours, right? There's a way to put an additional our secondary emergency contact in there, but this is how it's going to happen. And we already tested this, and half the people came to us and said, well, I didn't get a text message. I didn't know. Well, could we go into PeopleSoft and check your phone number? Oh, I never did that. Well, how was I supposed to know? Oh, we got about 10 emails we can forward to you that we've sent asking you to do that, right? And so please, if you have not done this, to all the managers, you should put this on the agenda for your meetings with your teams. This is so important, and not just for employees, but also for students, right? Because we know people change cell phone numbers and change phone numbers. This is how you get the information. A Night's Watch will continue when school starts as we continue to address daylight savings and things of that nature. A lot of construction. You all laughed when I said 15 years of construction. We're about to be in construction. And if you haven't seen it, the construction on the student housing is underway, still scheduled to finish in around 2028. Saw an amazing, this may be the last convocation in the Seville Theater. And they've come up with some very neat things that I think the theater is going to rotate this way. And this is a mock-up of what it may look like. And so we're nearing the final stages of design for our first 4 projects that have heavy involvement of classified professionals, supervisors, managers, faculty in the respective areas who are signing off on these designs that will ultimately come to College Council this spring. And so a lot of effort, a lot of involvement, and I've gotten to see most of the designs and have meetings set up over the next 2 weeks, and there's a lot of progress going on. And this is another area where somebody's going to say, I didn't know. Right. And so please know that the folks in the respective areas are involved with the design of these facilities, and there's a lot of great progress going on. A lot of things happening this spring. I mentioned commencement and end of the year events are going on, have our annual research symposium and open house going on. We'll award students some resources there. I'll be meeting with the team putting on the research symposium and offering some gift cards to give out to students who showcase their work and research on campus. We have a series of welcome backs occurring the next 2 weeks. Thank you to everybody who is putting those things on. And then the grand conclusion of the semester, May 21st, we will be back at Balboa Park, and you may have to pay for parking, right? Because anybody following that, it is a debacle. Marciano and his team had a meeting with Balboa Park. I'm probably going to have to get involved. We are doing our best to try to make parking that day free. We even offered to pay for parking, and they wouldn't allow us to do it. And so we are right along with all of the residents that are pushing back with the fees that go along with Balboa Park. Next week, we'll be launching Black History Month. Thank you to Claudia, Adon, and the team that is putting on Black History Month. These are some of the highlights of Black History Month. That's when we'll open up the application for students who want to go to Ghana. We will be having our, I think, 3rd annual Black Employee Luncheon. And let me clarify that. That luncheon is open to anyone who would like to come. Now, of course, we don't have the resources to feed the entire campus. And so what we typically do is highlight employees who have 10 or more years of experience. So if somebody is in your office and they have 10 years or more of experience and they're getting an award that day, come with them, support them. There's information out there in the departments and the managers about that event. Happy to say we're going to be having a soft grand opening of our BSI Center, which was a requirement and an expectation around being a Black serving institution. Thank you to Nisha and Jocelyn, who's working on that in collaboration with Claudia and a whole host of people. Marciano and his team are leading that effort. So we'll have more information about that in the coming weeks. But there's a lot happening as part of Black History Month, as we do with all of these cultural celebrations. And as I conclude, education continues to be the biggest civil right of our generation. And this directly connects to this work around making college free. I believe, and we know the history of community colleges, at one point or another, it was free. I also know when I look at the data, it typically shows up in a number of ways of why students don't stay in school. And one of them is the cost of school, not just textbooks, but in general. And so I want to ask you to join me in a round of applause for Melanie and her team who are leading efforts around making textbooks free. Let's give Melanie a round of applause. And so what we will be doing in the next portion of this presentation is turning it over to Melanie and the panel of faculty and panel of students who are leading our efforts on campus to make textbooks and supplies free. And there's a host of faculty members who are doing this great work. I want to thank you publicly for all the faculty members, because it is a difference to walk into a class and have to pay $300 or $400 or $500 for a book. Also want to acknowledge the library, who is a great partner in this effort, with our reserve section and all the faculty members who go above and beyond to make sure that there is a book in the reserve section where students can check out either overnight or hour by hour. Those are the things that keep students in school and ensure that they complete their degree of study. And I'm happy to say that this initiative is actually backed by resources. There's about $700,000 that was put in by the California community colleges and various grants and efforts to support not only faculty, but classified professionals and supervisors in programs who are interested in increasing the number of free textbooks and supplies throughout the campus. So you're going to hear a little bit more about that. And then lastly, what I did is I called a group together because I found out that there was a lot of work going on throughout the campus. Definitely want to shout out the business program and Jesse's schools. Let's give them a round of applause. Shayna Carr and others were leading efforts. And so this is an opportunity to go greater into detail so that everybody walks away knowing what we are doing at San Diego City College to ensure that our students have access to a high quality, affordable education. And then lastly, before I bring Melanie on, our efforts intend to link, combine guided pathways, the SIM project, Caring Campus with this ZTC effort, hence the shirts, hence people who go to the booths outdoors that you'll hear from faculty that are doing this will get possibly a lunch ticket so you can eat at one of the two food trucks that'll be here. There is a lot of great work going on with this effort that we're now going to combine with other initiatives on campus so that when a student goes to financial aid or counseling or admission and records or the Promise program and says, I don't know if I can afford to go to school, that not only the folks who are doing this, but our counselors, our classified professionals, and others can go to our catalog and say, let me show you the programs and the classes that don't require you to purchase a book. Now, let me qualify this because somebody's going to walk around or walk out of here and say, well, Ricky Shabazz doesn't want somebody reading books. That's not a Ricky said. What we can do with these resources in some cases is buy entire class sets of books. If we can get faculty to say, hey, let's keep the same edition over 3 to 5 years and check out the book to the class, they turn it back in, and so that maybe we can serve 120, 500 students with that same book that we purchased with these 700. And we've learned that from Shayna and others who are doing this on campus that have been doing this for a number of years today, and you'll learn more about that. Without further ado, let me introduce one of our amazing faculty members in American Sign Language, Melanie, who's coordinating these efforts. Thank you, Melanie.
I'll use this one for mine. Thank you so much, Ricky. I appreciate the warm introduction. I'm super pumped to be here. This is my life's work, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. I started working on DTC materials when I was 26 years old, working at UCSD. I created medical curriculum with the cancer prevention focus for medical students. And I didn't think about it being ZTC work. I just thought, this is what we should be doing. They shouldn't have to pay for any more books than they're already paying. And so that just kind of planted a seed in the back of my mind. I thought, when I got here to San Diego City College, I knew I was meant to be here. It was in my heart. I had a fire inside of me, and that fire is still burning. I hope I can share this passion with all of you, and that you guys can jump on board and hopefully either adopt the ZTC curriculum or you can create your own. And I'm going to get started with my presentation. If I have a clicker anywhere. Thank you. When do I click? There. Okay. So right now at City College, as you can see, we have about 15% of our courses that are ZTC. And we hope that within 5 years, that will increase to 50%. In the last year, you can see we've saved $1.2 million for student savings. Give it up to all of you that have participated. Fantastic. We have 1,193 sections of courses. 25 of those courses were OER, 253 were no textbook required. That's a total of 278, and that's 24% that was ZTC. That is again that's from 2024. And this data was taken from distance learning. And I want to give a big shout out to Brian Weston and his distance education learning team for the data. I appreciate that. Again, as Ricky mentioned, we have $1.2 million that we saved for student textbooks. That's enormous. And we're going to continue to raise that number every year. The result of having ZTC curriculum is that we have higher student outcome. 72% of the students enrolled in OER ZTC courses have successful outcome compared to 67% of those with paid textbook courses. Let's think about that. If you're a student and you're a low-income student, you show up to class, and all of a sudden the professor says, you need to buy your $150 textbook. Wait a second, you've got childcare, you have gas, you have rent to pay, you gotta take mom and dad to work, whatever your expenses, $150 on top of all of that is enormous. If you can offer the same high quality materials at no cost for those students, immediately the first day of class, they're gonna walk in feeling empowered and ready to start the class. You wanna set them up for success on the first day of class. 63% of the students that took this survey stated that the availability of ZTC materials is very or extremely important in their decision to enroll in your class. So if you're wondering why your classes are not filling up, stop and think about the textbooks that you're offering. Is it expensive or is it zero textbook? Those that are zero textbooks are more likely to fill up quicker. I can speak for myself. When I first started here at City College, I was offering regular textbook courses because that's what I had been doing. I had noticed every semester, the first day of class, 10 students would drop my class. Oh, got to pull out the wait list, got to add students, quickly email them, get everybody back in. Maybe I'm trying to get back up to 32. Every semester, every class. The first time I offered a ZTC course, one student dropped on the first day of class. Immediately I was able to fill it up. I did not, and ever since then, I have not had a problem with this huge drop in student enrollment. I love it. Students know in the first day of class, boom, easy, free, let's go. So I think for you, as you're thinking about your courses and as you move forward, you might want to think about either reducing the cost or working with the library so that we can purchase textbooks or doing a conversion. Race matters. Latino and Black students indicated that OER ZTC courses are more important factors in enrollment decision than any other groups. The academic area is also important. Liberal arts and sciences and ESL, child development, responded that free course material was the most important decision to enroll. If you're teaching in these areas, it's really important that we offer the ZTC courses. And lastly, for those of you that are teaching, 40% of faculty reported that the use of OER had a positive impact on the student's success in their course. I couldn't agree more. I mean, everything from the first day of class to the last day I give the final exam, to projects, to assignments, Everything is zero cost. And a variety of reasons for that. Cost savings, faster access to resources, it's right there in the Canvas shelf. Customizability of the course materials and pedagogical flexibility. You have the power and the autonomy to say, I don't particularly like this chapter, or I want to move this around, I want to move this down to module 5, or I want to add in another video, delete that one. You have all of the power right there in your Canvas shell to make it unique to your classroom needs. Student cost savings. Over the year, I'm going to speak from my own personal experience. And this is a little bit of an addition, a little sidetrack, but I was amazed at what I found out the other day. I've created 8 ZTC courses that I've already shared out on Canvas Commons. And my most recent largest project has been converting all of my ASL courses into ZTC using the acceleration grant. And I can't say I've done this on my own. I have a team of people that have helped me, and I'm going to acknowledge them and give them a huge shout out because truly this has been a teamwork effort. Here are the 8 classes that I've converted to ZTC, everything from ASL 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the lecture courses that we have, Deaf Culture, Implications of Deafness. So let's look at how much cost savings it is. Just looking at ASL 1 class, which is the most popular class for American Sign Language. In the last year, which we uploaded the final version. I had a pilot course. We uploaded the final version. We had 119 downloads. So assuming that those are professors and people download it one time, and then you use it every semester. That's 476 courses, 14,280 students, roughly 30 to 32 students per class. Total saved in 1 year in American Sign Language textbooks is $1.4 million. That is, to me, the number, the data speaks for itself. And I know you all can have the same kind of impact. This is only 1 year. I'm going to be going to Florida next month and talking to them at their state association about ZTC materials. And that word is just going to spread like fire. It's going to be wildfire. ZTC is on the move. California is at the forefront of the ZTC. And we are fortunate enough to have the money in our hands right here to make OER conversion. And you all can be a part of that movement. The power of teamwork is essential. If you decide to go with a ZTC conversion, you want to round up people, your allies, your colleagues, your administrators, your deans. You want to get everybody on your team, and especially the admin assistant. They have to be your best friend right by your side. So everybody's on this together. Nobody is left behind. You can see just from one course of conversion, all the people that have been involved. And thank you to Maddie, who has been working with me for 9 years. I mean, she knows me inside and out. And Brian and my husband, and they have seen the transformation. Personally, for me, it has been a huge impact. And for my students, I know that every semester, they're always thanking me. Thank you for a great semester. As vague as that sounds, I know that there's more depth to it. Meaning, thank you for making a ZTC. Thank you for making class accessible. And you know what? Thanks for making it fun. We play games, we come here, we do things together. We're not just sitting here listening to a boring lecture. Nobody wants that. I don't want to watch people fall asleep. Go home. Let's come here and learn. So I want to also say that every time we have a film shoot, we started this American Sign Language curriculum from scratch. Like, there's nothing out there that was ZTC. So we had my student volunteers, David, who's up here in the front row, coming helping out on the film shoot, looking at the script, giving me feedback. No, we don't need that. That's boring. Get that out. Do not be afraid to share your curriculum with the student. They're your best critic. They're going to tell you straight up, I don't want to learn that. And then what you need to do is you have to go back to your CLOs and compare and contrast. Well, I understand you want to learn about, rocket science or social media and AI and all of that, but let's tie that with our CLOs. Can we make the connection? Well, let's tweak it a little bit. Let's do a little bit of finesse. If you can make it work, and that is what is driving your students, go for it. Try to make it as creative, as fun as you can. My volunteers, my focus group participants, all of these people help cultivate and create a curriculum that now I'm able to share out. And I've really been really proud of everybody involved in it, but for me, it's been personally satisfying. getting back to City College. Goals here at City is to increase our courses to 50% within 5 years. And I want to thank Dr. Shabazz for that, because that was his number. And we're going to make sure that we meet his goal, right? We don't want to disappoint him, do we? No. So let's all try to buckle up and get going on that. So second here, we need to review our OER materials for quality and ensure inclusion of ASCC IDEA framework and ULD compliant. Really important that we're keeping up with that. We're making quality materials. We're going to increase student use of OER. Only 25% of the students who are on the SDCCD schedule online were aware of the class search of the ZTC function. Interestingly enough, though, that 48% of the psychology students knew about that little filter called ZTC. So good shout out to the psychology department professors for spreading the word. Good for you. Lastly, some of you may have noticed that we have a couple different forms from the bookstore, from me. We're going to streamline that process and have one reporting form that asks if you're using ZTC or low-cost materials. That's really important so that we can report out to the state and say that we are using the funds that they're giving us. Outcome goals for increased use of ZTC. We want more faculty participation in the selection of material. This increases your academic freedom. You can select what you want as long as it meets the CLOs. For example, if you have an English department and everyone's using different books in different sections, it is still fine. I want you all to work with Marley and Jessica Wang from the library, and we can order more books. It doesn't have to be from our funds here. It can be from the lottery fund, but we can make it happen. If you don't know how to do it, you can feel free to reach out to me. We'd like to increase retention rates and awareness of ZTC through collaboration of OER. Work group, STEM, AS, College Council, Executive Cabinet, and President Shabazz. All of us are working collectively together to make this happen. And also, attract new students from other colleges by highlighting our ZTC programs. Students who may be a comm major over at Mesa or Miramar, they see that we're offering comms as a ZTC or the business degree as ZTC, may be more interested in transferring over here. We want to finally increase the availability of books in the reserve section through hard copies of the PDF. How are we going to reach these goals? Well, we're going to offer you a monetary incentive to make the OER conversion. We're going to have a mural outside the AH building showing the percentage of ZTCs reached. So you will hopefully see that number increase every semester. And introduce and promote ZTC to students and staff campus-wide through events like social media and infographics around campus. Now, let's get to the nuts and bolts of the project. We have 3 different ZTC grants. The acceleration grant, the American Sign Language grant that I'm on. The implementation grant is liberal arts and sciences, scientific studies, mathematics, and pre-engineering. And then the ZTC grant is for comm studies, business administration, and then 21 individual faculty members. I'm hoping that we can increase the number for the ZTC impact grant, 20 more faculty, and then I'd like to have a second cohort for the implementation grant for the life sciences. What you'll do, you will scan the QR code in one of the upcoming slides, and you'll first enroll in phase 1. It consists of a 20-hour commitment, and it's a self-paced course that you can do on your own time. The first cohort starts in May. We already had a cohort this past fall, but this next cohort that we're going to be offering will start in, March, not May. When you are done with phase 1, it's relatively easy. You will move on to phase 2. We encourage you to take the 5 additional courses so that you can have an overview of all of the other resources available. This is not required, but we highly recommend it. Once you complete these courses, you will have a better idea of what you need to do for the OER conversion. We will pay out $700 if all 5 of those are complete, $500 for phase 1. And phase 3 is the actual conversion. By this time after phase 2, you'll be like, okay, I think I want to do a remix. I'm going to pull from Canvas Commons. Oh, but I noticed that we are a little bit lagging in this area. I might have to do some work here, create content creation, and then you can create your own course. You'll get paid out based on a 3-phase tier. You see tier 1, 2, and 3. Tier 1 is where you actually adopt a curriculum. It's already OER. Maybe make a few little tweaks to make it relevant to your course. Payout is $750. On top of what you have already gotten, phase 1, 500, phase 2, 700, phase 3, 750, or 2,000 for tier 2, which is a remix, requires more hours. And finally, tier 3 is 5,000, but this is total content creation. Our first cohort that we just had in the fall consisted of 21 professors, and 12 have completed phase 1, and the remainder are still in progress. Phase 2 is the deadline is in June. 1 has completed phase 2, and 7 are currently in the process of phase 2. These are the courses currently being converted. I want to give a big shout out to these professors working on these courses. Great job. Support during the ZTC conversion. I don't want you to think that we're just going to throw you out in the sea and let you figure this all out on your own. You do have a support team here for you. You have myself, you have my project assistant Chelsea and Ruth Willow, and you have Dean McNeil here. We also have instructional designers, Maddie Button and Brian Weston and his team, and they have a website. It didn't come up, but their website will explain to you all about the resources that they can offer to you. The new cohort, if you are interested, hopefully I've got some of you hooked. Who is so far thinking about joining cohort 2? A hands up. Oh, love that. A couple of people. We plan to kick off 2 more cohorts in the March. One for the ZTC grant, open to any professors. Second in the implementation grant. I have to make the distinction because the implementation grant focuses on the life sciences and mathematics. And I have a whole list of courses. Check and see if your course is there. Start date, March. This gives you a little bit of time to get going in the beginning of the semester, to get your feet wet, and then you'll be ready to go. Phase 1, we hope you can finish that 20-hour course by June 2026, and phase 2, finish that by December. So you have time during the summer to finish those 5 extra courses in phase 3. And then we would hope that 1 whole year later, you would be done with that course conversion. Again, a total of 40 people, 20 in cohort 1, 20 in cohort 2. The implementation grant is focused on the liberal arts and sciences, 20 folks in that group. So here are the list of courses that we need converted for that degree. If any of you are teaching this course, take a picture, share with your department or your colleagues. This is what we need. We don't need all of them converted. We need 8 units. So even if we can get 2 or 3 classes converted, that will help fulfill the degree requirement pathways. If you are interested in joining the cohort, or you know somebody that maybe can take a picture of the QR code, fill out the form, and then either Chelsea or myself will follow up with you. Much easier. It keeps it nice and organized. I have a QR code for the life sciences. I have a QR code for the other cohort. Our language department, we have 50% ZTC. We hope to keep raising that number every semester. And hopefully you all will be right there with us. Next up, we have the panel with our students and faculty, and they're going to talk to you about their experience using ZTC either in the past or this coming semester. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you, Marco, for taking over for me. All right.
Thank you, Melanie. Can I have my panelists? Our panelists, can you please come up? This is your time to come up and take a seat up front. And I did have a few words to try to help us transition and get us excited for this panel, but I think Melanie did a pretty good job. I'm not teaching a course anymore with students, but I need one so I can do this as well. And hopefully at the end of our panel, when you hear from our faculty and students, more hands go up when Melanie asks how many people are interested in participating. All right. Well, my name is Marco Ansouris. I'm our professional learning coordinator here at San Diego City College, and I'll be serving as the moderator for our panel today. Our hope is that just to guide a conversation with our faculty and students so that they can share their real world experiences designing, teaching, and learning in ZTC OER courses. And hopefully we'll be able to highlight the positives, but also some of the challenges so that we're aware of what those are. And then really the impact of this work to inspire broader engagement across our campus. I'm going to just briefly introduce our panelists. It's not in any order. I'm going to go here, and this is just sharing a little bit about them and their interest in ZTC and OER. And so we have Umberta Noor in the communication department. And so she mentioned that she enjoys how you can personalize instruction for your students using ZTC and OER resources. Next, I have Shana Carr in the business department chair and professor of accounting. And they've been contributing author on 2 open educational resource accounting publications with OpenStax, and they're leading the business department's effort to convert the business administration degree to 0 textbook cost. Next, Heather McRae, professor of biology. They've written 2 open educational resource lab manuals and curated an OER textbook for biology. Those are our faculty members. I'm going to introduce our students. And then we have Kwame Flowers, majoring in accounting and business administration. And they mentioned that, there we go, yeah. And they mentioned that taking a ZTC OER course meant they were ready on day 1 to focus on their course materials and have a good start to their semester. Next, I have David Lucena, a double majoring in American Sign Language, interpretation, and business. And they mentioned that ZTC courses have significantly reduced their financial stress, which allowed them to focus on their learning. And so please, just one more round of applause for our panelists as we get started. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go back and forth between our questions oriented for our students and our faculty members. But let me first I'll start with our faculty with this question, and it's open to any of the panelists to answer. And this one's just about getting started with ZTC and OER. And so the question for our panelists are, what initially motivated you to adopt or create ZTC OER materials?
Hello, everybody. My name is Umberta Noor, as Marco mentioned. I am one of the professors in the program, and what got me interested was my own experience as a student here at San Diego City College. Every time there was a book, I honestly just couldn't afford it, and really, I never told the instructor. So I would go weeks. And I think that's the important part here, is that many students are afraid of disclosing that type of information. So just kind of reflecting on my own experience as a student, I really wanted to make sure that I created a course that was equitable and accessible to all students. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very similar to my experience actually too. In college, I was first going through pre-med, decided to switch. That's a whole different story. But the books were so expensive. And I ended up having to have 3 jobs on campus just to afford the textbooks. which didn't leave a lot of time for studying or really focusing on that aspect. And so coming to city, I noticed the same hurdle, the same barrier for our students, particularly in accounting and econ. You know, the books are $200, $250. So, you know, I started creating what I call Band-Aids to try and reduce the cost of textbooks through the publishers, which were very popular and still are. But, you know, for me, it was so important to not have our students have that same experience that I had and really be able to focus on their studies and not have their textbook be a barrier for them either enrolling in the class or completing.
Good morning. My name is Kwame Flowers, and my experience has been that with a free textbook, that means I'm able to start class out of the gate like a racehorse. I'm ready on day one. So for me, that means that could mean a difference in a letter grade, honestly. I've had experience, or I've experienced students, 2 weeks into a course, and they're still fumbling with textbooks, trying to get logged into the site, product keys, calling customer service. I mean, it was just a mess. And this is 2 weeks in, assignments are already due. So having a free textbook means having a good start to your semester, and, you know, having a good start to your semester, and having the confidence that, you can, complete your course. So.
Yeah, thank you. Heather, did you want to add to how you got started? And then I'll go to David and his experience.
Yeah, sure. So I teach biology, and if anyone is aware of the biological fields, they progress really, really quickly, much faster than publishers can keep up with. So I found myself noticing that the published lab manuals for my class were just not as up to date as I'd like them to be, and they weren't really fulfilling the needs of my course slows. And so that's initially why I decided to write my own first lab manual. And then also because things change so quickly, I could actually update my classes' labs much more quickly from a semester to semester basis by swapping out individual labs because I had written the labs themselves. So it allowed me to keep really, really up to date with the most current technologies in biology.
Thank you. David, I want to give you an opportunity. Kwame actually answered this really well, but how did having immediate access to no-cost materials in your course affect your ability to start the semester strong?
Yeah, I mean, it was not to, it was quite life-changing. I've taken, I think, 6 ZTC OER courses, so I'm a testament to its success. It does work, and it does motivate the student to continue to look for courses that are low cost or no cost. A lot of students who rely on financial aid, sometimes they just have to sit and wait until that financial aid comes in. The semester has started, you're 3-4 weeks in, and you're past that add drop deadline, still waiting for financial aid. And when it comes in, you weren't sure if you would be able to get the money in time. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So being able to just start immediately, not have to worry about any financial stress is really what makes the difference in student learning outcomes.
Thank you very much. And Heather actually brought this up in her response. So this will go back to our faculty members. What instructional freedoms did ZTC OER give you that a traditional course with paid materials might not have?
I'll go first on this one. So for me, we have on campus our VITA program that serves a lot of our students to help them learn how to do tax preparation. that tax code, the laws, the books that are associated with that, it changes constantly. And those resources are very expensive. And so I made a commitment to the students going through that program to really try and find resources that they could access not only in class, but outside of class as well, as they continue on their studies or even in their personal life. So being able to bring in resources from the IRS or other teachers that had resources on Commons, being able to build my own videos or simulations really helped our students grasp those difficult concepts and not have to worry about this big book basically that costs a lot that they are not going to be able to use in the future because the tax law changes so quickly. So I found that not only did it give me the ability to teach the class the way I wanted to, that best served our students, but the students were able to also have that available to them, whether they used it personally or professionally.
Thank you. I like this question because I'm kind of new, sort of new. I've been here about 2 years now, and often I kind of inherited some of the material in my course. And one of the things that ZTC allowed for me to do is allowed me to really connect with the material and make it a lot more personal for both my students and myself. And a lot of times learning is a very personal process, right? And so I feel like this platform has allowed for me to recognize students who learn and come from different backgrounds, learn differently. Some are visual, some are audio. And I think it's really important to make sure that you not only have the passion to teach this, but that you're a part of the process in curating it and putting it together and kind of building that instructional confidence as well. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to segue right to for our students, for David and Kwame. So on that note about, instructors personalizing the material, how did taking a ZTC OER course compare maybe to a course that you took that had materials you had to pay for?
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Marco. So 5 of the 7 courses about that I've taken were all with Dr. Nakaji, Melanie, who presented earlier. And what's really great about ZTC courses is that it can be tailored to the demographics of the students here. Particularly in San Diego, has a very high LGBTQ plus population. So even basic vocab in our ASL courses, we're learning vocab that relates to my community as a gay individual. So just seeing that, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I wouldn't see that over there. So to see that integrated into the course means visibility. It means educational equity. And I think it really makes the difference between being seen as a student in the course material. So I know a lot of the professors have mentioned like being able to tailor it. That's a key factor in maintaining student interest. And it's important. Visibility matters. And I think that's what my biggest takeaway so far has been.
Thank you very much. Kwame, did you want to add anything to that? All right. So for our faculty, following that question, you've tailored the courses. Perhaps maybe you see a difference in how the students are reacting. But the next question is: have you noticed differences in how students prepare or participate or engage in the courses that you've designed versus your previous courses that maybe used materials?
So actually one of my other motivations for moving to a course that I curated and wrote most of the material for is that I had a lot of student complaints about the textbook, that it was confusingly written or we didn't use it all. A lot of times in biology, the textbooks are more broad than our courses cover. And so by having the material carefully curated just for the stuff that we need for the course, the students know that whatever they're engaging with is what they need to know for the course. There's no extra stuff that they have to skip or that they're not going to even use. And so it can be very, very tailored, and it can guide them through the course learning objectives in a really like sequential way that they can follow much more easily. And I get much less complaints about the course materials because they've been curated specifically for the course, which is really lovely for the students because they're less frustrated, and it's really lovely for me because I'm not trying to manage their comfort in the course. In terms of participation, I think one of the things that I really love about the OER lab manuals that I've written is that because they're what we use is in Canvas is Canvas Word assignments, the students get to keep their labs and all of their work forever. It's saved in their OneDrive and they get it. So it's not like I take their assignments and they don't have access to them in the future. And because I teach a biology class and because the students are going to need that material in the future, I've had many, many students come back to me after they've transferred and said, oh, I use those lab manuals all the time. Like I'm in a research lab right now and I go back to that course material regularly and look at it because it was really, really good information for training me for the next steps in my educational pathway. So I feel like it like, I don't know, passes forward to their needs as they move forward in their educational journey.
Anyone else would like to share?
I
It's
was
up to you.
given a mic. I think one of the things that I like about ZTC is how I started to think outside of the box for some of these assignments, right? When I was first teaching public speaking, a lot of what I was teaching is something that I either learned in undergrad or something, like I said before, that I have inherited from other colleagues. But the thinking outside of the box component is really important because it connects the material to current events and something that students can relate to, something of relevance. And a lot of times if there is new information out, like right now we are in a very, very pivotal time where AI is really changing the way we communicate and the way we understand information and how we take it in. And our traditional textbooks aren't talking about AI right now. So I like how ZTC allows for instructors to be so flexible with the channels, the resources, the platforms that they use for their students.
Thank you. So our next question, this one back to our students. Why do you think low cost or no cost materials matter for students just broadly? What would you want to share with our audience about that?
Yeah, low cost textbooks, it means everything really. You know, rent, there's rent, you know, I looked it up this morning, the average one bedroom apartment rent in San Diego is approximately $2,300. I just Googled that. That's a lot. So you know, it means everything. There's rent, there's you know, grocery, you know, everything is up in terms of prices. So it really means a lot to be able to have free textbooks, to come in and know that there's just one less thing to worry about, you know, with everyday costs. Also, you know, it motivates you to, you know, as I said before, get a good start out the gate, be confident. I'm a believer in the first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks of your semester really matter, right? If you fall behind in those first 2 weeks, you're really going to struggle through the rest of the semester. So I think it really matters to get a good start out of the gate. With no cost textbooks, there's just one less thing to worry about. No stress, no fuss.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head because that question is pretty much at the heart of what ZTC is. And for me, it's much more than just a cost saving initiative. These are real financial tough decisions students have to make every single semester. These are real students making these decisions every semester. This is like a single mom who's back in school who has to choose between a $200 textbook and eyeglasses for her child. You know, these are real financial decisions that are happening. And so what ZTC, I think, is allowing students to acquire is real educational equity. The knowledge, the education belongs to all of us. And, you know, for me, it's extremely personal. I grew up poor, government housing. I didn't think I would be back at school in my, you know, my mid-30s. But having cost-saving initiatives matters. It really, really matters. And I can't stress that enough. These are big, important decisions that students have to make on a daily basis. And I think we forget financial stress, the ubiquitous nature of it. I think it's easy for students to forget, or faculty to forget, like that these students are making really tough decisions all the time. And it does determine whether they stay enrolled in a course or in college altogether. So I can't stress the importance of ZTC and OER. I think I'm so proud to be enrolled at this college because I think what we're doing with these programs, I think we're at the precipice of something really important, educational access for all. And I think it's such a crucial thing that we're doing, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. So thank you.
Well,
Thank
Marco.
you.
Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, ZTC is just it's just a no-brainer. You know, a lot of people, politicians, they pay lip service to education. Education is important. Our children are the future, so on and so forth. But, you know, this is just an obvious no-brainer, an obvious improvement in students' lives.
Thank you. Yeah. We have a few more questions before we wrap up our panel, but I did want to let the audience know that we will take questions if you have them, if you wanted to hear something else from our panelists, students, or faculty, or ask for some clarification. We'll do that at the end. So we have a few more here, and then we'll open it up to questions if there are any. So this is for our faculty. What were the biggest challenges in adopting or creating a ZTC OER course?
Oh, okay. I think for accounting specifically, there is a reliance on the publisher resources, and a lot of faculty buy-in to get away from that is really, really challenging. And even I struggled with that. I'm like, what, I have to give this up, you know, to to transition these materials. But fortunately, with the availability of the ZTC grant, we are looking to make our own materials, so the supplement materials that we can pair with the OER resources that we're using. So we're hopeful that with that, we can have more buy-in from instructors to not only use the OER textbook, but the support resources that go with it. So we have the OER accounting books through OpenStax and Rice University, and reaching out to them, they're very excited to work with us to make that a reality. So we're excited to not only be able to do that for our city college students, but OpenStax works across the country with a lot of different colleges and folks. So we're hopeful that what we create with buy-in from students and help from even our sister colleges and beyond, that we will create something that will be useful for those professors, which in turn will help our students not only enroll, but stay in class as well.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of time and it can take some expertise or resources you may not have. So what I would encourage people to do is don't try to tackle everything at once. You can, I really believe in micro teaching and micro changes. You can make really small changes. You can change one lesson and make it OER or ZTC. You can change one lab. You can change one field trip. Do that over a few semesters and you'll make an impact on your course. And maybe over 2 or 3 years, all of a sudden you have an OER course. You don't have to do it all at once. And then use resources that are available to you. We're very lucky that we have these funding sources that are available to faculty. So apply for those if you are interested in doing them so that you can get a little compensation for your time because it is helpful to have help. It is helpful to have training and they do provide you with some training and they compensate you for that. So that's helpful if you don't know how to start, they're going to give you some guidance on how to do that. So please take advantage of that. And then I think once you start, it's easy to keep going, but it's hard to start. And then I guess the last thing I'd say is if you have a professional society in your discipline, reach out to them as well because they might already be curating a lot of this stuff and they might be able to provide you resources or even compensate you for a lot of this work. So there are a lot of resources out there to help you make this happen.
Thank you. And Barta, you don't have to, but did you want to share anything? Otherwise, I can move on.
So I totally tried to do it all in one semester. Not fun at all, but I did learn in the process. And I think it was kind of like shopping for my class. And I had so much decision anxiety and there was so much I wanted to just squeeze into one little module. And the more I looked at the material, the more I wanted more material. And so it's a bit of a roller coaster, but you definitely learn a lot along the way and it's beneficial for both the students and yourself.
Thank you. So for our students, for David and Kwame, this will be your final question. It's an opportunity to let the audience know, what would you want faculty to know about how students experience a course that has all the materials ready for you on day one?
What I would like them to know. I think we already touched on it a lot. Being able just to start right out the gate, stress-free, go into it focused on the learning, focused on the curriculum. It's essential, and there's no other way to phrase it. It's extremely essential, this initiative, because it's allowing students who otherwise wouldn't have this opportunity to have an opportunity to learn. I really do think these programs are going to change lives. We are providing access to education through these programs, regardless of financial standing. I just think it's so essential, and I think it's important work. I think in the presentation I think Melanie gave earlier, we're a little behind on affordable higher education. And to be here talking about this with you all, hoping that this catches fire, and I think it will, I think we have the opportunity to make really big waves of change with students from all demographics, all backgrounds who are part of this campus. But it allows a fresh start for people of any age, of any financial background to come into class confident, ready to learn, without an added financial burden in one of the most expensive cities in the country. I was doing a little research before the panel, and not one, but several financial health institutions in 2025 reported that 67% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck. So I want you to sit with that number for a moment. 67%. That's the majority of our student body. That's the majority of their family, their parents who are helping fund their education. So it may seem trivial one free book, but it really, really does make a difference. And if there's anything I can impart is the difference that this ZTC and OER initiative will make for a lot of students.
Thank you. Kwame, did you have anything?
Sure, I know I feel motivated and energized when I'm taking a ZTC course. You know, I'm rip roaring and ready to go. It's just one less thing to stress about. I think it's a domino effect. You know, if you're worried about, you know, things that really you shouldn't be worried about, you know, books and cost and you know, passwords, those things. It's a domino effect. It affects, you know, everything. It affects your grades, mental health. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. So I think it's important to you know, that these ZTC you know, free textbooks are available to students. It's just, you know, an immediately quality of life, you know, improvement in a student's life. I know it was for me. You know, again, no muss, no fuss. You know, it just makes everything easier. You know, honestly.
Thank you. So our final question for our faculty is similar. So final word, what advice would you give our colleagues that might be considering ZTC OER for the first time? What's the final thought you want to leave them with before we finish today?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say it again. Don't try to do everything at once. Make small changes and do things that are doable for you in your workload. Because if you try to change a whole course at once, it can be really wonderful and you can learn a lot about your subject. But it also might be very stressful and it might eat into your work-life balance, which is already challenging for us. So don't be afraid to make small changes. Small changes still matter and they're summative or probably even more than summative, and they build up and over time you will have a course that you really, really love and that you can continue to make small changes on that's manageable for you.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. It can seem overwhelming. And you may feel pressure to have to convert everything at one time. No, you don't have to do that. Making those changes little by little, I think is the way to go. And then also understanding the impact that you're having on your students. I can't tell you how many students I hear from in the courses where I am able to provide free textbooks or free access to supplemental materials, how grateful they are to not have that burden, to not have that cost. And I find that they stay in the class as a result. Which is huge. You know, it's not that they don't want to stay, but that is a big hurdle for a lot of our students. And in some of the classes that we haven't had the opportunity to convert, you know, I'm hearing the opposite. It's I can't afford this. You know, is there any way for me to complete the course without having to use this textbook? And you know, you feel horrible that you're not able to provide that to them. And I use that as motivation to really not only convert our business administration degree, but at some point, again, one thing at a time, but at some point in time, converting all of our courses in the business department, because I don't want any student to have that barrier to their education. So that's what I would leave with you.
I think the last thing I'll say is I appreciate that ZTC is moving us toward sort of a decorporatization of education. We've kind of adopted these publishers and we're used to them, and we're not challenging, or at least I wasn't, right? Like challenging the way we accept this or the way we accept structures, the way we teach. So I do think it's really important for community colleges to help support that pathway for our students and the future of our students and making education all the more affordable.
Thank you. That concludes the panel, but can I give a round of applause to our panelists, faculty, our students? Thank you very much for sharing your experience. And we do have an opportunity if you'd like to ask some questions. And once those are complete, I know I'm calling up Melanie one more time and she's going to conclude with one last piece. Are there any questions? You can raise your hand. We do have floating mics out there.
One right there. There's a hand to the right.
I know I can't see. They're right there. Okay. I think.
I'll be the game show host.
Okay. Thank you, Ricky.
Hi, I'm Amanda Dahlgren. I teach in the photography department, and I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to clarify. For all of our classes, we have other required equipment like cameras. So I'm guessing that a course like that, even if we didn't have a textbook or if we converted our materials so that, that would not be considered a zero textbook cost class if it has other supplies required.
I'm going to pass this to Melanie.
You're correct. If it has other supplies, it could possibly, though, be low textbook cost. Because we're looking at everything, art supplies, any calculators, camera equipment. You could get creative and think outside the box, though, and think about the equipment you have. Is there a way that we could purchase some things and students could rent them out for a semester and then pass them on to the next students in the next semester? So we'd have to get together and think about some options. Is it the same camera every semester, or does it change out? All those kinds of things. But we would have to meet one-on-one and with Andy to kind of go over those good questions. Thank you for thinking of that, though.
Yeah, and I will add that we are absolutely expanding this to have these discussions, as Melanie mentioned, to include software and, as Sean raised a similar question, right? We know we have programs where students require software that also are cost prohibitive for folks. And so we want to know those things so that then we can go and try to either identify resources or fundraise so that we can offset some of those costs.
I will also say you're in photography, which means you're a CTE program. So you have access to grant funding. I know that it's decreased, recently, but there are a lot of grant funded for CTE specific programs that you may be able to purchase. We also have the CTE textbook library on campus, and this was kind of it was a pet project for me back in the day, but the continuation of that as I had envisioned it, and again, I don't know how it would work in the real world, but kind of a checkout system for some of those supplies that are needed. I see at some of the stores they have, you can check out at Home Depot or something, rent a saw or something like that. I was thinking of something of that nature to kind of expand on the CTE textbook library. For example, I have Monopoly games in our library. It's a project I do in our class. So, it doesn't just have to be the textbooks. I was able to use the extra, some funding for the Monopoly games that I use for my class. So maybe that's something that you could look at potentially for some of those other equipment needs that you have.
Is there anyone else that has a question out there? Okay, in the back.
I'm going to come over here, then back there. So, okay.
Hi, it's not so much a question, but it's more of like a shameless plug in that, yeah, so as the library, we can catalog and check out all kinds of materials. Like Shayna said, we have the Monopoly games. I have cataloged rock and mineral kits, binoculars, all kinds of different items that we kind of are built to check out and lend out. So if you are interested in that, please come talk to one of your librarians. We can definitely help with that. We also, in relation to this conversation, have LibGuides available on our website for OER and ZTC resources if you are looking to get started on that. So yeah.
And I'm so glad you said that because it took everything out of me not to say it myself. I was like, there got to be some librarians in here. I think there was a question somewhere.
Hi. Oops. I just have a quick question. Do you guys have a database of OER resources for possibly new faculty to look or peruse?
Can you clarify what you mean by database?
A list.
A list of OER classes or a list of resources? Well, if you do an OER conversion and you sign up, you will you will take the course and learn from there. As for a separate website with lots of resources, we're in the process of making a website. I just increased my load this semester, so that will free up more time for me to do those kinds of things. In the meantime, I would refer you over to the library. They do have some OER ZTC websites on their homepage. Am I correct, Jessica Wang, I think, and our librarian in the back?
Yeah, so that OER guide that I just mentioned, there is one of the tabs is just finding OER resources and has links to probably 5 or 6 different repositories for different kinds of OER resources. So it has the OpenStacks, like Shayna mentioned. There's a website called Merlot, LibreText. There's a ton of different just searchable databases from there. So yes, check out the OER guide, and I'll send it out to the DL actually after this. So thanks.
And I'll also just plug the CTE textbook library again. There's over 5,000 textbooks in there for use. So we did this project a while ago, so maybe check in with your chair. I know we have a lot of new faculty in the CTE areas, so you may not know that there are those resources available for you and for your students. So I would definitely check that out with the librarians. It's with the reserve desk.
We'll take one more question, and then I'm going to pass it off to Melanie.
Hi, my name is Serena Collier. I'm an English faculty, and less of a question, but just want to say I was one of the 20-ish students or faculty in the first cohort. Finished that first section in last semester, and I really enjoyed it. I've been working with OER and ZTC for several years, actually, across a few campuses. But I thought that the program was structured really well. It was so incredibly informative. So I just want to commend you guys for putting that together and offering this to us, and encourage everyone to participate, because I actually learned so much, even though this is something I've been delving into before. So thank you.
Yes, and as Melanie indicated, a website and landing page are forthcoming, which this is the reason why we are focusing in on this for Convocation. Let's give our panel
A round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you so much, our student and faculty panel. I really appreciate everything. Thanks for coming. The last part of our convocation, we have some student testimonials from various classes talking about their experience. And if you wouldn't mind, Susan Murray has created a very short, I promise, 2 minutes or less survey. And the next slide, if we can click to the next slide. If you could, I don't know if you can take a picture of the QR code and fill out. It's just basically asking about your knowledge of ZTC prior to the presentation
And how much do you know now that you've learned about it? Is there an improvement? We're just looking at pre and post measures. You could take 2 minutes and leave a little bit of feedback. That will help us immensely. And while you're doing that, we have some student testimonials that I'll be running in the background.
Hi, my name is Sebastian, and I'm attending college here at San Diego Community College. I love the CTC program because it offers me an alternative to paying hundreds of dollars for books, which in many instances I can't afford, and in those cases I cannot take those classes. There's been times where I've signed up for classes and they give you about 2 weeks to prepare those courses and to have those materials ready, and there's been times where I have not been able to afford those books about 2 months in, right? So I'm missing a lot of material that's necessary for classes. I'm missing homework assignments, and all that impacts the daily stress of already attending school. So it only multiplies and exaggerates the burden of attending school and trying to get a higher education. So I definitely now only seek classes that have CTC available courses, and I'm grateful for the program and that it exists.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm a student at both City and Mesa College. After my kids started school full-time, I wanted to shift the focus back to my own educational journey. So I returned to school at 36 years old. I will be graduating this semester with an associate's in both ASL and psychology. As a student balancing school, work, and family, the zero textbook cost courses have made a huge difference for me. Not having to worry about expensive textbooks removed a major financial stressor and allowed me to focus fully on learning. ZTC meant I could start every class prepared from day one, without waiting to buy materials or worrying about how to afford them. And as an active duty military family, that kind of relief really matters. Every dollar saved on textbooks helped my family cover essentials like groceries, childcare, or transportation. ZTC made college more realistic and sustainable for me to be able to achieve all of my goals. When I registered each semester, I often looked specifically for ZTC courses because they made my education more manageable. And this also allowed me to take on more classes each semester in order to be able to finish the 2 degrees I was working towards as quick as possible. I also like that ZTC levels the playing field. Everyone in class has access to the same materials right away, which really supports participation and success. For professors, I recommend continuing to explore open educational resources and other creative ways to integrate free or low-cost materials. Students notice and deeply appreciate when instructors make those efforts, as it shows that you understand the realities of student life today and you're invested in our success.
Hi, my name is Riz Rillo, and I'm a recently graduated student. I've actually been taking courses since 2014, and now I have 2 degrees. I've taken both traditional courses and zero-cost textbook courses, and wanted to share how ZTC has impacted my life. I still remember the first time that a professor told me that everything that I will need to learn will be online or on my screen. Because at this point, I had been used to buying 3 to 6 textbooks, sometimes other materials or software, all for one class, all for one semester. Right away, that was already a positive for me because if I didn't have to pay for anything while being a full-time student, absolutely a plus for me. Although I was very skeptical because I had been used to flipping through pages, holding different materials, and was not sure if I could learn any other way, really. However, after I took that course, I realized it was actually way easier for me to learn. After taking that course, I prioritized only taking ZTC courses.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Miranda, and I'm currently taking communications. And the reason why I benefit from ZTC is because I'm a low-income student, and personally, I tend to spend a lot more of my financial aid money on things like gas or rent or food, basic needs. So having more accessibility to textbooks is actually one of the best things for me when signing up for a class. Having to spend extra money on textbooks tends to restrict me from taking certain classes. So yeah, the ZTC program is actually pretty awesome.
And with that, that concludes our ZTC component of Convocation. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Come on, we can do better than that. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you to our faculty. Thank you to our students. Have a happy spring semester. We are now done. For those of you, please do the survey if you get a chance. That'll help us. Again, there's a certain degree of accountability baked into the t-shirts and the lunch. For those of you who got a ticket, there are food trucks to my left, to your right. If we could be of any service to you, please let us know. Look forward to seeing you on campus this semester. Take care, everyone.